Warning: the following video may contain spoilers for video game endings and anime plots. For those of you that don't know, I love video games. I also enjoy my fair share of anime, which got me thinking, why not do a countdown of 2 things that I love put together? That's right, anime-based video games. Now, for this countdown, I am going to apply some rules. The game must be based on an anime, not the other way around. The game must be available in the USA. It has to be a game I've played and an anime I've watched. And only 1 game per anime series. So, without further ado, here's Crow of Murder 15's top 5 anime-based video games. Tell me if this sounds familiar.
It's time!
Yep, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Became popular in the early 2000s, spawning a trading card game, toys, and of course, video games. There were a lot of variations with the games, such as setting up the card field like a game of chess, to even controlling the monsters in the card game. But as far as the games go, I like to get back to basics. Hence, Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2004 for the Game Boy Advance. Now, I know that there have been other installments after this, but honestly, I stopped playing the Yu-Gi-Oh! Game shortly after 2004 came out. To be fair, I'm sure the other games are great, just as long as they don't have
Hi guys, I have been waiting a whole year for that.
Thank you, Jinzo. Anyway, 2004 system was pretty simple and sometimes very challenging depending on who you were dueling. The game starts you off with only 5 challengers, but the more you win duels, the more challengers and booster packs you unlock. The only downside to this is that the game never explained this. So say you wanted to duel Seto Kaiba, well you're just SOL unless you go online to find out how to unlock him, which there's nothing wrong with that. The only thing I wish they added was the option if where you typed in the number from the actual card, you could get that card in the game. Oh well. Hey Shorty! Want to tell everyone what the next game is?
Who are you calling a mousy little pipsqueak?
Alright, jeez, talk about your short temper.
Don't call me small! I'll break down your feet and stick them on your head!
Okay, calm down. So the next game is Fullmetal Alchemist 2, Curse of the Crimson Elixir for the PlayStation 2. The first Fullmetal Alchemist game was pretty good, and I'm sure a lot of you will say, of course the next game is gonna be better, there's only room for improvement. Not always the case. Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2. Nuff said. But the main reason that Fullmetal Alchemist 2 stood out from the previous game is the fact that the first half of the game actually followed the main storyline from the anime series. Then it branches off on its own storyline. Then again, the first anime broke off from the manga storyline, but I digress. The gameplay is awesome. Being able to use Ed's alchemy as your primary and secondary weapons is just sweet. I mean, look at this! He starts with a sword, then halfway through the combo, transmutes the sword into twin katanas, then back into one sword. Tell me that is not badass. They even made brand new anime cutscenes specifically for the game. Players can even upgrade their abilities and find secrets throughout the game, unlocking concept art and more. Kinda wish they made an extra mode where you could fight against another player as different characters. Oh well. Good job, Small Fry!
Who are you calling a rock so tiny that it can only be seen with a magnifying glass, you jerk?
Some things never change. This next game almost needs no introduction. Now, I had to bend the rules a little for this one. Here's why. When Pokemon was discussed in Japan, it was first made into a video game, then made into the anime. However, when Pokemon was released in the US, the anime was released first, then the game was released. I don't know. What do you think, Ref?
I
Sweet. Now, there have been countless Pokemon games released since the late 1990s. But since storyline is one of the main criteria I'm using to judge, I'm going with Pokemon Yellow version for Game Boy Color. Now sure, most Pokemon games that were made for handheld systems had almost the same storyline. Pick a grass, water, or fire starter Pokemon, defeat 8 gym leaders, defeat some form of the Elite Four, beat the champion, and somewhere in between, battle your rival a bunch of times and stop an evil organization that's either stealing or misusing Pokemon. Rinse, dry, repeat. Man, how does this franchise keep going? Anyway, what sets Pokemon Yellow apart from the others is that it followed the anime the closest. And who could deny Pikachu? It's just the cutest little... Yikes! Remind me not to let that thing near the swimming pool. Pikachu actually follows you around the game, and you can check his status to see how your friendship is with him. At first, he's pretty reluctant being your partner, but keep winning battles, and he'll love you like ketchup. Let's see how he's doing. Hey, Pikachu! This is also the only version of Pokemon that I'm aware of that includes Jesse and James from Team Rocket. These guys are hilarious in the anime. So yeah, take us to number 2, guys!
It's like Team Rocket's bursting off again!
I swear, if I hear...
It's over 9,000!
So there's been quite a few Dragon Ball Z games released, most of them fighting games. My pick for this one is Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3 for PlayStation 2 and Nintendo Wii. This was a tough one to pick between this and Ultimate Tenkaichi, but there's a few things that set Budokai Tenkaichi 3 apart from Ultimate Tenkaichi. First, the fighting system. Budokai Tenkaichi 3 has a nice flow of combos and special attacks. With Ultimate Tenkaichi, it was land one combo on your opponent and basically play a game of rock, paper, scissors to see if you continue your onslaught or get rejected. And they even took out scissors! Or, well, so to speak. So pretty much you have a 50-50 chance of either kicking the other player's ass or getting your own ass kicked. This is not a good fighting system, people. Second, the character selection. Budokai Tenkaichi 3's character roster is huge!
That's what she said!
Thank you, Krillin. This roster spans from the early days of Dragon Ball to the later Dragon Ball GT. Ultimate Tenkaichi's character roster was, well, lacking a bit. Granted, this was the first Dragon Ball Z game to include a create a character mode, even though you could only be a Saiyan. My number 1 pick should take notes from this. Last but not least, story mode. Ultimate Tenkaichi, like most of the Dragon Ball Z games, followed the storyline well. They even throw in a couple of movies and some of the GT series to an extent. This was good, but Budokai Tenkaichi 3 opened the floodgates! You've got the main story arc going from Dragon Ball all the way to GT. You've got the movie arcs, all of them, and yes, I enjoyed the Dragon Ball Z movies. Except that one! It even has a what-if mode that puts you in scenarios that fans probably came up with. I mean, Devilman versus Metal Frieza? That's funny as hell. Now, I'm not saying Ultimate Tenkaichi is a bad game, just Budokai Tenkaichi 3 had the upper hand.
All that training made me too strong for you!
Believe it! Believe it!
No! 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 Just shut up! Okay, I confess. Number 1 is a Naruto game, and it was a tough choice as well. But my number 1 anime-based video game...
Now this world shall know pain.
Naruto, hurry! Naruto!
is Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 2. This is, in my opinion, the best Naruto game ever. Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm Generations was a very close second. Both games have amazing fighting systems. Both character rosters were well done. with the addition of the younger Naruto characters in Generations. Nice touch. But what sets these two games apart was the story mode. In Generations, there were multiple characters you could pick from and go through their story. This was cool, but to me it felt like they just skimmed by the stories, not really going in depth with them. But to the game's credit, there were about 10 characters and would have taken a long time to go through each one in depth. I mean, have you ever noticed how many character origin flashbacks there were in the actual series?
I remember back in that snowy village, my parents.
No, we're not gonna have another goddamn character origin flashback, no!
Couldn't agree with you more. As for Ultimate Ninja Storm 2, it took a more in-depth look at the main storyline of Shippuden. It was very well done. Not incredibly long, but also not too short either. But here's my big reason that this beat out Generations. Did I mention there were boss battles? That's right, boss battles! The story mode takes some of the most memorable fights in Shippuden and made them boss battles. Not only were these fun and challenging, but you also do quick time events that just look amazing. Sometimes even better than the actual anime. Well, then again, this is 3D animation, but I digress. And that is why Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 2 is my #1 anime-based video game. I'm Crow of Murder 15. Thanks for watching.
I'll show